Finally, it took me 3 times to go live. I kept saying going live, and it spins for about 2 minutes, and then it does it. Let me turn over my chicken. I'll be right there. Okay, my Teaserking family, sorry about that. So how's everybody's day going? I did my swim, and now I'm, as promised, doing the Big 12. Let's take a look at gold, 33.44. It was up to 33.65, and China playing games with it. They're lowering it, but it'll come back. They're just try it higher. Silver's doing very well though, 36.41. I know it's crazy because it's a 21-cent game. I watched an Egon video real quickly, and Egon doesn't get it. I can't believe Egon doesn't get it. Talking about why isn't the gold price higher? All the wars, all the inflation, gold price should be going through the moon, all the demand for it. He doesn't get it. It's price fixed. It's because COMEX is shorting it. That's why the price isn't higher. I can't believe he didn't get it. We'll watch that after we do our thing. Let's look at baseball. Earlier, we had Detroit over, which won easily. They had a big lead. Obviously, it's easy when you're getting all the pitches, as they are. So we had Washington, Detroit over 9 in the first game, and that was an easy winner. We didn't play the San Diego Phillies. Minnesota's 2-1 over Miami in the bottom of the 8th. Miami's on the 8-game winning streak, so we did take them very lightly. Detroit 4-3 in the 7th in game 2. We do have Washington over 8 in the second game. Toronto and the Yankees. Toronto's hot, 8-6 over the Yankees. I did have the Yankees over 9. Good boy. Cincy 4-3 over Boston. No play there. The Mets 5, Milwaukee 2. I did play Milwaukee in the second game, and they're in the top of the 6th. California 2, Atlanta nothing. Cleveland 3, the Cubs nothing. Our next bet is Houston. Houston's up 1-0 in the first. So we played Washington over 9-1. Milwaukee under 8.5 lost. Miami, they're losing 1-0 in the 8th. They're not done yet. Washington over 8. They're at 7 in the second game, but it's the 6th inning. Milwaukee's losing 5-2 to the Mets in their second game. We lost in the first game. They didn't go over 8. What happened in the first game? Milwaukee won 7-2. Oh, we played Milwaukee under 8.5, and Peralta with the 2-9-1 gave up 2, but Reed Garrett 2 and 4, the 3-3-1 gave up 7. All right, so Milwaukee. So we're 1-1 right now. Miami, we could still win. Washington over 8, I expect to win. Milwaukee, I'm expected to lose, down 7 or down. Again, it's tough playing the doubleheader the same, 3 hours apart. Really stupid. Top of the 6th. So Milwaukee can come back, and then Houston's got a 1-0 lead. So we're 1-1. If Miami comes back, Washington should go over. Milwaukee's probably a loser, and Houston's 1-0. That is baseball tonight. So yeah, you can't. All the picks are played, but that's why you watch the earlier one. Okay, I updated my spreadsheet that I do for when the quarterback switches teams, like Iko Vigya goes to UCLA or Joey Aguilar goes to Tennessee. I pulled in the data for the quarterbacks, and it gave me the new team. So I have all the quarterbacks who have switched, and we can go through that. I'll do that on another broadcast. So right now we're going through the big freaking 12. All right, let me check my chicken, and then I'll be done with it. I already turned it over, so. And we got the 2-minute warning. We need another 2 minutes to cook it properly. All right, so the Big 12. Now I kind of rated the teams as I did, so I'm on the Gray Sports Almanac. Here's our teams. We've got 16 of them, and I'm rating them. Now I've read the comments, and I started going through the teams at the lake the other day. So let's look at it. Arizona State. Now this is their picks, not mine. An A team, Texas Tech an A team, Kansas State a B team, BYU. This you'll laugh at. BYU has a policy, no premarital sex. Jake Ratcliffe, the quarterback of BYU, had premarital sex. He knows he's not supposed to, but he's the quarterback. Probably some hot girl, probably a Russian girl, of course, goes and he has sex with her. So he had a 7-game suspension, of which this is a senior year. He said, screw that, and he's transferring. I don't really get it. My friend says he went to BYU, says there's no smoking, there's no drinking, and there's no premarital sex. Who the hell is going to BYU? No wonder it's so hard there. Seriously. All right, so BYU, the Iowa State, Baylor, TCU, Kansas, Utah, Houston, Cincinnati, Colorado, UCF, West Virginia, Arizona, and Oklahoma State. That's your big 16. Like the Big 10's 18, the Big 12 16, SEC. At least that's that's 16, but it's all SEC. I don't know why they call the Big 10 the Big 10 if it's 18 teams. I don't really get why you can't have more conferences. I think you should. I think this is extremely stupid. All right. So let's go. Arizona State has the quarterback back, Levitt, and I don't know, Jordan Tyson, I think, is a receiver. Basically, they lost Scatterboo, 1,700. Let's go look at Scatterboo. 293 attempts, 1,711 yards, 21 touchdowns. That's why I am high on him. 21 touchdowns and 1,700 yards on Arizona State. All right, let me turn off the chicken. Okay, sorry about that, Batman. All right, here we go. So Scatterboo, that's why I'm so high on the Giants with Russell Wilson, Malik Neighbors. I don't want the other running back. I prefer Scatterboo. If I was the coach and my job's on the line, I'm rushing with Scatterboo. Get him in the first few games, and then you need a first down, give it to Scatterboo. You need a touchdown, give it to Scatterboo. All right, Texas Tech. They lose their running back, Ty Brooks, who went to Cincinnati with 1,600 yards. I mean, they got him as A. Texas Tech's problems are always their defense, but I give them an A here. Byron Morton, very good quarterback. We'll get more into the quarterback stats as we go into the teams. Kansas State, now I'm a little surprised I don't like Avery Johnson that much. More of a running quarterback, but you need the guy who throws the ball. O-line and quarterback rooms may be a bit time. You don't have an O-line, you're not running. Wildcats have a great, I don't know. BYU, they're in trouble now with their quarterback. They are loaded everywhere else, but they've lost the quarterback, Retzlaff. I don't know where he went, if he went anywhere. I know he's transferring, but I haven't heard where. Iowa State, great coach, great defense. Rocco Beck, very good quarterback, much better than Brock Purdy, actually, who went to Iowa State. Let's see. Iowa State should be a good live dog. We got him as a dog the first game I think it's in Ireland. Kansas State, Iowa State, two good Catholic schools. So I give Iowa State an A, Baylor a B team. Baylor's good quarterback. I like. I'll get more into the team. TCU, Josh Hoover threw for 4,000 yards. They need a running game because they need balance. Jippy, we know that. But TCU, a very good over team. They'll score. Kansas, Jalen Daniels, another Jalen Daniels, but he's not the passer that our Jalen Daniels is on Washington. They look like they have a running back in high shoe. Good coach. Defense a little shaky. Utah, Cam Rising. They're an under team. They always have a good defense. Now, I looked up Devin Damper, who was from New Mexico. Not really a stud quarterback. He's a good runner, but he's not a good thrower. So they're going to have a running quarterback. Good luck on that. But you saw the difference when Cam Rising played than when the other guys played. Houston, Willie Fritz, loved the coach. Connor Wegman, I think he's from Texas A&M, is now the new quarterback. I'll look up his stats. Cougars are continuing to build up the rest of Fritz is a very good coach. Look for Houston to be good. Maybe not next year, maybe a year after, but he's a very good coach. He took Georgia Southern, right? Okay. Cincinnati, I don't like their coach. Brendan Sorsby is the quarterback. He's not very good. Bearcats have the offensive line. They're weak, probably an under team. Colorado, how is Coach Prime going to do this without his kid? I mean, oh, my God. The Buffs have big senior class, including a lot of age on both lines. So they're older. Does that mean they're experienced? Don't know. You don't have the receiver cornerback. You don't have Prime Junior. So it's going to be tough. Then we'll have to see if Prime Senior can coach, which who knows. They lost a lot of playmakers. I have them as an E team. The defense doesn't show me a lot. So that's where they're going to be their downfall, and they won't have Prime Junior to bail them out on some of these games. UCF, I got as a W. Scott Frost. How can Scott Frost be in coaching? He couldn't read that how good Who's our guy? Really? I can't remember. Fuck me. You got to be kidding. Our quarterback on Cincinnati, the best quarterback in the league. What the hell is his name? Anyway, if he couldn't spot that, I'll not think of it and come up with it. Oh, come on. How could I not? I can. There's Lamar, there's Josh Allen, there's Mahomes, there's motherfucker. Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. I can think of Chase and I can think of T. Higgins. Anyway, Scott Frost saw our guy who I'm blanking on. Jesus. Okay, I gotta find this. Joe Burrow. How could I not think of Joe Burrow? Anyway, he thought Joe Burrow was a safety. He didn't think he was a quarterback. So he wanted to make him a safety at Nebraska. Now we know why he got fired, but I got a question if he knows what he's doing as a coach. So he's back at UCF. That's a giant red flag. Obviously, he doesn't know what he's doing. The only reason he was any good is he had Mackenzie Milton, our guy, as the quarterback, but he ran him too much and he broke his leg very, very badly. So as soon as he lost him, then he couldn't coach anymore. So it's surprising how these coaches are so good when they have superstar quarterbacks. Quarterback goes, so does the coach. All right. So I don't know. I got him as a W with a coach that can't coach. Again, it was Mackenzie Milton that made him. Joe Burrow. How the hell could I forget Joe Burrow? West Virginia, Rich Rodriguez is back. He started at West Virginia. At Michigan, he sucked. Went to Arizona, he was okay. He's still a very strong. He's got a big-time running back in Jaheim White. Don't know. Probably missing things, but probably will be an explosive team with no defense. Arizona, now new offensive coordinator Seth Doege. Noah Fahita might regain his 2023 form. This guy was a great quarterback. Should bring in an explosive offense again. Don't know about the defense. I don't know. Brent Brennan's the coach. So Dougie's probably brought in to be the coach. So look for some more offense from Arizona, but no defense. In Oak State, Mike Gundy hasn't stayed down for long. We have to see who their quarterback is. And let's see. Oak State's quarterback is Zane Flores, a freshman. So they're in big trouble because he runs a very explosive offense, but he's got a freshman quarterback to run it. Look for them to take a few games to get him going, 5 or 6 games, and then he might start showing up. Ollie Gordon had that big year, and then last year he sucked. He got drafted. I think he went to Miami. He's not going to be any good. Unfortunately, I don't know how he can be – I don't know how he can be so good one year and so bad the next. It's really strange. All right. Lindy's all Big 12 team. Sam Leavitt, Arizona State quarterback. Bryson Washington, Baylor running back. Dylan Edwards, Kansas State running back. And then Tyson, Arizona State receiver. Cameron, a Baylor receiver, as you would expect. Second team, Rocco Beck, Iowa State. J.M. White, West Virginia. Daniel Ishaw, Kansas. Caleb Douglas, wide receiver, Texas Tech, and Chase Roberts at BYU. And then the third team is Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback. L.I. Martin, the running back for BYU. Carson Hansen, a running back from Iowa State. Eric McAllister, senior wide receiver, TCU. And Jace Brown, Kansas State. So you have Kansas State with their running back and a receiver. The Iowa State has a running back and the quarterback. They got two of their wide receivers drafted like 5 picks apart in the second round. So they develop their players very well. They always have a good defensive scheme. They have a great head coach in Matt Campbell. That's who I thought the Lions hired when I heard Campbell. And I was disappointed it wasn't the Iowa State coach. It was some idiot that I've never heard of. All right, so here's how I grade the teams. Arizona an A team, Texas Tech an A team. They got to replace Ty Brooks. Kansas State a B. BYU would have been an A, but now they're an under, depending on who their new quarterback is. Iowa State's an A team. Baylor's a B team. TCU an over. Kansas a B. We'll see what happens. They have the quarterback if he gets better. Utah an under team. They always have a very strong defense. Houston a B team. Look for them to be strong. Cincinnati an under, no offense. Colorado, I don't know if they're an E or a W. How can he coach without Prime Junior? It's like Little League. Oh, my son went on to the Babe Ruth, the Pony Colt League, and I'm still here without my son. How can I do this? UCF a W because Scott Frost doesn't know Joe Burrow is a all-pro quarterback. How do you blow that? West Virginia, an over team. Rich Rodriguez will score a lot, no defense. Arizona, over team. Seth Doge will come in, and Noah Fajita's still there, who was very good 2 years ago, and he sucked last year. That's where the coordinators, and that's the problem. All these coordinators jump around, and you have no idea. And that's what you do. And then last, Oklahoma State. I like Mike Gundy, but they got a freshman quarterback, so we got to see. All right, those are my rankings. And we start with Arizona State. Continuity is on the Devils' side in their quest to become the second program in the 30-year history of the Big 12 to repeat as conference champions. Who gives a fuck? Obviously losing. That's what I don't like about this. Obviously losing Scatterboo is going to hurt them. Primary strengths, the abundance of proven leaders on defense and a high number of veteran 2D players, again, establishes this group as one of the best in the Big 12. So you have strength, you have returning players. Problems, replacing Scatterboo. Some defensive backs back. Who cares? They'll replace him. So as I said, Sam Leavitt will be back as the quarterback. 216 out of 350, 24 touchdowns, 6 picks, and 2,900 yards, basically. Very good quarterback. Scatterboo, he loses 293 attempts and 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns. Sam Leavitt was the second leading runner, and then Kay Brown, 73 carries, 361, 2 touchdowns. Kay Brown's better get a whole lot better. 32 points a game last year, 22 given up. That's why they made the playoffs. The playoff teams are the A teams. They got good offense and a good defense. You must have a good defense in the playoffs. They open with Northern Arizona, Old Mississippi State, Texas State. Then they go to Baylor, TCU, Utah, Texas Tech, Houston, Iowa State, West Virginia, Colorado, and Arizona. Pretty tough schedule. Baylor, TCU. We'll see about Utah, Texas Tech, Houston, Iowa State. That's pretty tough, those 5 or 6 teams in this conference. Old Mississippi State and Texas State, Northern Arizona, they should kick ass. Again, Northern Arizona, we're fucked because it's not, it's Division II, so we got to ignore that. Texas Tech, they bring back Baron Morton, the quarterback, 295 out of 466, 8 interceptions, 27 touchdowns, pretty good ratio, 3,300 yards. They lose Tajay Brooks to Cincinnati, which is why I'm high on Cincinnati this year. 286 attempts, 1,500 yards, and 17 touchdowns. And they got this guy in the 6th round. That's absolutely unbelievable. 6th round, he goes in the 6th round, 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns. Oh, we don't like receivers or running backs yet. The teams that win, Philadelphia, Kansas City, had good running attacks. The Lions, Minnesota, Green Bay. I mean, these teams had good running backs. The Rams, the Niners lost McCaffrey. They don't make the playoffs with McCaffrey. You're going to see what they do this year. Primary strengths, the Red Raiders starting group on the defensive line, along with some younger depth pieces, figured to make up the strongest position in the country. So very good defense. So they should get a lot of sacks. The front four will be a blend of primary proven veterans with young athletic. I love when they are athletic. They're football players. What is physicality? Where did they invent that? I mean, you're playing football. You're all physicality. They make up words and then they use them. It's so stupid. They're physical. We get it. It's football. You don't have to call them physicality. Unbelievably stupid these guys are. The offensive line is overhauled, but is still shrouded in mystery. The issue is less about the personnel, more so about that personnel will meld together. Well, obviously, in any offensive line. Overview, there is serious investment from all involved around the Tech football team to make a legitimate push at a Big 12 championship. Bullshit. So not much there. The coach is Joey McGuire. Overall, 23 and 16 in 3 years. Never heard of the guy. Is he a winner? I don't know. And that's what we got. It's hard to even look at the starters because with the NILs, you don't know what you got. They scored 37 a game, which is what you would expect when you had balanced offense. So B-Rod needs a running back. So we'll see if Quentin Joyner, who wasn't there last year, what do we got about Quentin Joyner? Running back Quentin Joyner from USC. So again, they bring in a USC guy. I don't know how good he was last year. He's a sophomore. They open with Arkansas Pine Bluff, which is a good one for them to get Quentin Joyner into the offense and get Bretton Morton with his new receivers. Kent State, a Z team, Oregon State, not much there. Then they go to Utah, Houston, Kansas, Arizona State. An easy one in Oak State, maybe. Kansas State, BYU, UCF, West Virginia. So the last two are easy. So I'll look for them. They avoid TCU, which is always a nemesis for them. TCU beat them last year 35-14 and Baylor, and they avoid both of them. So they might have a chance. Again, 37 points on offense, 35 on defense. Clearly an over team. Clearly the coach doesn't know how to coach defense, so he goes to the quarterback in the passing game to sell tickets, but they'll never win without the defense. So look for some overs there. Kansas State. The coach is Chris Kleinman, 48 and 28 in 6 years, 120 and 41 in 11 years. So he came from somebody. Don't know the coordinators. Primary strength going back to his North Dakota State. He's from North Dakota State. Kleinman's team always run the football well. That will likely be the case again. So he likes these dual threat quarterbacks because you notice these guys who get drafted, Carson Wentz and then Trey Lance, neither of them could throw the ball. They were more running type of quarterbacks, which of course don't work in the NFL. Running backs Edward and Jackson are in a talented and experienced offensive line. Potential problems, bring back only 47 receptions, so they need receivers. I don't know why the guy doesn't throw the ball. The Wildcats have brought in a cadre of transfers to bolster the receiving room. Okay, again, the bullshit. NIL, you have no idea. You're getting third stringers from another team. You're going to be excited. The Wildcats will go to Avery Johnson goes without a viable backup. If he goes down or struggles, K-State will be, well, you don't know that. The backup's brand new. You don't have an idea. Johnson has electric passing, and he does not have electric passing. He just is a good runner, and he continues to improve. The Cats will be playing huge games. So Here's Avery Johnson, 217 out of 372, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, and only 2,700 yards. That's your problem with the running quarterback. On the other hand, he ran 113 times for 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. I got my quarterback playing running back, and we know that never works. Randall Cunningham, who was the guy in Minnesota, Steve McNair. It never works. You got to have a quarterback who can throw. I want Joe Burrow. I don't want Fred Burrow. I remembered his name. I'm so excited. All right, they open up against Iowa State in Dublin, and then they get North Dakota. The Army is going to give them problems because they've seen this type of quarterback. That's what Army runs. UCF, they should beat. At Baylor, it's going to be a problem. TCU is going to be a problem. At Kansas is going to be a problem. Texas Tech is going to be a problem. At Oak State, maybe a problem. At Utah, we'll see how the quarterback reacts. In Colorado, they should kill. They scored 30 a game, gave up 23. Usually have good defense at Kansas State, just like Iowa State. Usually are good defensive teams, good head coaches. In this case, the head coach isn't as good as Bill Snyder. He was a great coach. Love betting on him. BYU, I don't know. Ratliff had premarital sex, and he's suspended 7 weeks. He's going to transfer. We don't know where yet. So BYU needs a quarterback, and BYU's in trouble. He was great last year, but we don't know who the backup is. Yeah, they don't get into the backup. In all 3 phases of the game, BYU appears to have the talent and experience to contend for a Big 12 championship and earn the first ever spot in the football playoff. Not anymore. But as the Cougars learned last year, the difference between winning and losing can be winning and losing. BYU won 4 games by a total of 13 points, while the margin in its 2 losses was 9 points. Okay, so they play a lot of close games. We get it. We get that Utah game. So it's tough with BYU because of the quarterback. They're loaded everywhere. They're an A team except for him. The replacements don't one completion out of 3 attempts for a touchdown of 33 yards. So we don't know. The big probably an under the first 3 or 4 games. They open it with Portland State, Stanford, East Carolina, Colorado, West Virginia. They go at Arizona. At home in the big game, that's the big rivalry game, BYU-Utah. BYU's in Utah. Obviously, Utah's in Utah. At Iowa State, that's going to be a loss. So they're going to play Utah, and they're going to get Michigan, Ohio State, USC, UCLA, Alabama, Auburn. And then you got at Iowa State waiting. There's no way they're winning that game. At Texas Tech, they're in big trouble. TCU, they're in big trouble. So let's look at last year. This is case in point. This is theory number 37. They went at Utah in a very strong game. They had been undefeated. They win at the end on a field goal, 22-21. They were down in the game. 22-21 BYU. Very emotional game. Does it remind you of the Oakland-Miami 1974 Sea of Hands game, where Oakland scored with 10 seconds left to win the game? What happened the next week? They got to play Pittsburgh, and they got killed. Here, after that, they were at home to Kansas, my Kansas team, and my Kansas team beat them 17-13. They were flat. Then they go to Arizona State, and they lost 28-23. So it took a lot out of them. And always remember that big emotional game. It's very hard to get up the next week, especially even though they were at home, a good Kansas team who ran it down their throat. Don't forget that. You got to be careful of the emotional game. The look-ahead game at UCF, they won 37-24. Not a problem. Here comes Utah. At Utah, focus, get the win, and they have nothing left. So when you see these big Oklahoma, Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, UCLA, Georgia against anybody, they're going to be flat the next week. It's very hard. Even Alabama, it's very hard. after they play LSU or Georgia to get up for Vanderbilt, and that's probably when they lost. I can go through their schedule. Hi, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name, Awayas. What should I call you, Awayas? I'll think of your cool hand Luke name. So hi, welcome. Questions, comments, let me know. Please feel free. Right now I'm doing the Big 12 review. We can talk gold or baseball if you like. I can throw that in. All right. So they scored 31 points a game, but gave up 19. Very strong defense. But now that you've lost the quarterback, look for a under team. They'll probably run it more. They L.J. Martin, running back, ran for 718 yards last year. So you don't really have that star running back that some of the other teams do. So BYU probably play them under, play them for the defense. Portland, I gave you the schedule. So Portland State, that'll get the new quarterback ready. Stanford, it's terrible. East Carolina, Colorado. So the first 5 weeks, they should win them all because they're playing crap. You can get away with it in college. You can't get away with it in pros. Because pros are all pros. College, okay, they're playing Portland State. How many pros are on Portland State's team? Iowa State, my favorite team. Matt Campbell at Iowa State, 84-51. Good coach. Let's see. Primary strength, Iowa State's offensive line. Lost a fourth-round NFL draft pick, but returns lots of experience. So they're going to be able to do that to protect the passer. Potential problems, leadership. Well, they got Rocco back. Iowa lost a pair of two-time captains in Illinois and whatever, and it remains to be seen. Anyone can, who cares? Leadership, I'm not worried about on a football team. Overview, Iowa State possesses the talent to mount another run. The Big Ten. Yeah, we know that. They're worried about leaders. I'm not worried about leaders. Getting blown out by Arizona State in last season's conference title offered the Cyclones fuel for their offseason. They bounced back. That humble defeat to beat Miami, that Cam Ward didn't play, so who cares? What a stupid comment. They won 42-41. Scoring, they scored 31 a game. They gave up 22. Very strong team. 31 points, but only gave up 22. Rocco Beck is back. They open again versus Kansas State and Ireland. It's usually Notre Dame and Navy or whatever. Surprise Notre Dame's not going there. They're a dog. I think they're a very live dog. Good defense, and they'll have the better quarterback. South Dakota, nothing. Iowa, they always play Iowa. Last year they won 20-19. Iowa had them the whole game. This one is at home. Tease the dog in this game. At Arkansas State, we haven't got to the Sun Belt yet. Arizona should be pretty explosive, but Iowa State's defense will handle them. At Cincy's a win. At Colorado's a win. BYU's a win. Arizona State will be tough. At TCU, Kansas, and at Oak State. So obviously that Iowa game is tough, but then they get Arkansas State after, so it's not a real problem there. They had trouble with Texas Tech 23-22 and Kansas 45-36. Kansas is they just have a good scheme and a good coach. Then they lost to Arizona State. That was shocking, 45-19. So look for Iowa State to be an 18. As long as you have that quarterback and that coach and the defense, you're going to be fine. Baylor, very good quarterback. With tons of returning production and added depth, Baylor has all the pieces to make a push for the Big 12, of course. Baylor, okay, nothing to report. Very good offense. They will be explosive. They have a very good coach. The coach is Dave Aranda, 31-30 at Baylor. Good quarterback. The defensive line remains thin. So they're going to have a weak defense because if you don't have a good defensive line, you don't have a good defense. Their quarterback, Sawyer Robertson, is a senior, 229 out of 368. That's completions versus attempts, 28 touchdowns and 8 picks, 3,071 yards. He was very good. Brian Washington's back as the running back, ran for 1,028 yards and 12 touchdowns. So they will be very well balanced. Look for Baylor to be very explosive with this coach. And again, 34 offense, but 26 defense. The TCUs, the Baylors, the Texas Tech just tend to not have the defense, but they have great quarterbacks, Mahomes, and they got great running, great receivers usually. So look for them to be explosive. They open at home to Auburn. Should be a tease the dog game. At SMU, interesting game. Sanford and Son, they're Division II. Arizona State, that'll be a great game at home. At Oklahoma State, we'll see how Oklahoma State is. I'm not going to listen to this guy. We don't know where their quarterback is, but Mike Gundy's a good coach, and he'll find a good quarterback. Kansas State at TCU, at Cincinnati. UCF sucks. Utah, no offense. At Arizona, and Houston will be a tough game. And that's Baylor and Houston are very close together, so look for that. Pretty tough schedule. SMU will give them problems. Arizona State, TCU, and Houston. So they got, they could be way up there. You got a quarterback who's 28-8 for 3,000 yards. A little bit low. I thought he would get more, but I don't think he started this season. I think there was another guy. Yeah, DeQuinn Finn from Toledo went there. And he had 3 touchdowns and 2 picks, 23 of 43 for 300 yards. And I think he got hurt. I think he played 2 games. And then they brought in, and he's hurt. And then Robertson came in, and he was like, why was Finn the starter? The coaches do that too often where they'll have a guy who's a senior experience, but he's really not that good. And they get the star on the bench, Cam Rising, Tyler Van Dyke. These guys sitting on the bench, the coach is too stupid to see the talent. The guy gets hurt, and they bring him in, and you're like, why wasn't he your starter? I know that with Cam Rising and Van Dyke, I couldn't believe they weren't starting. All right. So look for Baylor to be very explosive. TCU. TCU will go as far as Hoover. So they got a really good quarterback in Hoover. I lose my quarterback stats. It's the first 5 or 6 teams, and then it just goes here. Good era, that great coach, and Sonny Dykes is one of these offensive geniuses, so they will score. You saw them against Michigan a couple years ago. They beat the shit out of them. That's where I'm like, so you think J.J. McCarthy's good. What did he do in the game against TCU? 2 pick sixes, at least 3 or 4 interceptions, at least 2 interceptions on the pick sixes. And he didn't do much. And then when they get behind and they're playing a kind of a prevent, then he looked good. But before that, he was throwing pick sixes. So, and again, that was against the TCU defense that Georgia put up 60 points on. So this is why I'm not sold on J.J. McCarthy in the big games. He don't show up. The Horned Frogs should once again feature passing. Good offensive line. Linebacker and safety look to be the strengths. Problems. Mediocre defense overall. Yeah, well, we know that. That's why TCU's got problems. They scored 33 a game, gave up 24, which isn't bad. They open at North Carolina. They get to see Belichick's girlfriend. So probably be coaching in the game. Abilene Christian, I think they're in Texas. SMU, another Texas team. They're in the ACC. Then Arizona State, Colorado, Kansas State, Baylor, Iowa State, BYU, Houston, Cincinnati. So the Houston game, the Iowa State game, the Baylor game, and Arizona State and SMU are going to be tough. At North Carolina, Are they the dog in that game? I think they're favored. Let's double check. September 1. I don't have a September 1. I got a 29 and a 30th. All right, let's see. TCU. It helps if I know what team I'm looking for. Where is TCU? I don't have them the first week. This is September 1. Yeah, okay. The first week's like August 29th. What the hell date's September 1? That's Labor Day night. But I don't have a 9. My last game is Notre Dame, Miami. So we don't know the spread of that one. Please, God, let TCU be the dog, and that's our first lock. Belichick can't coach. We know that. So TCU, Hoover, good quarterback. I don't have his stats here, but look out for TCU to light it up. 33 a game with a great offensive coach, Sonny Dykes. So, yeah, they were a little flat after losing to Georgia in the championship game, as you would have thought. They lost the quarterback and some of their defense, some of the star wide receiver. They all went into the pros because they were hot. And then the next year they weren't so good. And now here they go. Look for them to be on fire. Kansas, we got Lance Leopold, who was a great coach at, I don't know if it was Wisconsin Whitewater or one of those. Won a lot of titles, 22 and 28, 4 years, overall 59 and 61 in 10 years. I think he was at Buffalo, and he turned them around. Now he's at Kansas. 6-year quarterback Jalen Daniels, without the Y, will look to prove he's worthy of the hype he's receiving. I don't know. He's a senior. I don't have information on him here. The Jayhawks will return to Lawrence for their home games this season as the remodeled David Booth Memorial Center. We care what the name of the stadium is. Lance Leopold's club took a step back in his 4th season. 5 of the 7 losses came by 6. I don't think they took a step back. I think they lost their quarterback, Bean, who I can't believe Bean's not in the NFL. So he's another one of these, like Kansas State quarterback. He's a runner, not a thrower. They scored 30 a game and gave up 26 last year. So you can see they're an over team. They are great play calling. They'll make plays that you're just like, you're dying, and then they can't get a first down, and all of a sudden he play action passes and hits a guy for 40 yards, and then they boom, 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 touchdown like they did against Colorado last year, 37-21. They had the great running back. So they got a new running back. Dalen Daniels he wants to run too much. Can't do that. They open with Fresno State, then Wagner at Missouri, West Virginia, Cincinnati, UCF, Texas Tech, K-State, Oak State, and then at Arizona, at Iowa State, and a home against Utah. So the Kansas State game's their biggest game. After Texas Tech, they get a week off, and then Oklahoma State's the week after. Be careful of that game. That's what you need to see. The rivalries, Kansas State. Then they're going to be flat for Oklahoma State, maybe. And again, Daniels needs to throw better. I do like the coach. They need to get a better defense, but they should be all right. Utah. Poor Utah. Love Utah. Great coach, great defense. But Cam Rising's gone. Devon Dampier was at New Mexico, more of a running quarterback, unfortunately. Kyle Winningham at Utah, 187 and 86 in 20 years. Great coach. I don't know if he's handling the NIL thing very well. Can Dampier handle the jump from the Mountain West to the Big 12? Sure he can. That's not a problem. he's a runner. He needs to be a thrower. The offensive line helps that cause Utah's defense. The veteran crew, since replacing Urban Meyer in 05, Whittingham has only had 3 seasons below 500. There were rumors he might retire, but he's back. Still waiting on Cam Rising if he's going to play. They scored 23 game and gave up 20 because Cam Rising got hurt last year and only played 3 games. So Devin Dampier is a junior, 5'11", 204. So he's one of these. He's a very good runner. This should be a under team. They should run and play defense as they do. They open at UCLA. They should win that one. Cal Poly Pomona at Wyoming should be a win. Texas Tech, that'll be a test. At West Virginia, home into Arizona State will be a test. At BYU, that's their rivalry game. And then they get Colorado after that, so mark that down. Cincinnati, at Baylor, Kansas State, and Kansas. Kansas could be a rough game. But the big game is the BYU game, October 18th. And it comes right after Arizona State. They'll have no problem getting up for BYU. It's the Colorado game, especially Colorado's not very good. So we'll keep an eye on it. Devin Dampier was good at New Mexico, but he ran a lot. It was a running type of offense. So we will see. Houston, great coach, Willie Fritz, 75 and 62 in 11 years. South Georgia, Georgia Southern, I think, and some other little ones that all of a sudden we started betting on. Oh, Willie Fritz is there. I'm going to bet on it. Connor Wegman from Texas. He's from Texas A&M. He's okay. Wasn't too impressive. He might be good at Houston. Let's see. Strength. Connor Wegner should bring a stability at quarterback. That still reps most of last season. 6'7", 240 pounds. Jesus. Cozell offers a sure-handed big target at tight end. Oh, he's 6'7", 240. After being the centerpiece of Rice's pro-style offense, Connors will be used in multiple roles out of the backfield. Who the hell is Connors? Problems. First must replace A.J. Hussey and 2 top defensive tackles. So let's see. They scored only 14 a game and gave up 23. They were an under team last year. Very good defensive team. With a favorable non-conference schedule, reaching 6 wins. Yeah, okay, great analysis, fella. Yeah, they got to get better. Yeah, duh. What a great synopsis. I'm about to stop reading these overviews because I don't find any value in them. So Wegman came from A&M. He was nothing special. They open with Stephen F. Austin. They go at Rice. That's a rivalry game. Colorado, that should be a win. At Oregon State. Texas Tech, be a tough game. At Oak State. We'll see how they progress. Don't give up on Mike Gundy. Arizona, it should be an explosive game. At Arizona State, definitely will be. West Virginia, Rich Rod will run. At UCF, easy win. TCU, and at Baylor. So they got some tough games near the end, TCU and Baylor. You got to bet the coach here, Willie Fritz. We'll see how Wagner, who wasn't that great at A&M, does in this, but it's an easier defensive conference. Just Utah and Iowa State are the tough ones. Cincinnati, Brandon Sorsby, the quarterback, returns. He wasn't very good. Scott Satterfield, 8 and 16 in 2 years. Not a very good coach. All right, not much to talk about. Scoring 25 a game, gave up 25 a game. They're an E team. They open against Big Nebraska at Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. I believe it's still called Arrowhead Stadium, where the Chiefs play. Then they got Bowling Green, Northwestern State. Like Northwestern wouldn't be too much. At Kansas, that's a loss. Iowa State, that's a loss. UCF, at Oak State, Baylor, Utah, Arizona, BYU, and TCU. Uh, I don't know. We got to see what kind of running they have, and the Sorsby's pretty weak. Their defense isn't really that good, so they're probably going to be a bet against team for us. Colorado, they replaced Prime Jr. with Calden Sattler. He was I think he was a Conference USA quarterback or something. Not very good. I noticed that he was like 8 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Like, what's the big deal? So they're going to have a problem with their quarterback. Calder steps in behind center. He led Liberty to a Conference USA championship and berth in the Fiesta Bowl in 2023. What did he do last year? See, I don't like that when they say he led Liberty in 2023 and then he did nothing in 2024. So look for Colorado to be probably a W team, just very weak. The offense and defensive lines are deep and more talented. Potential problems. Travis Hunter played such a significant part, and he could be the most difficult player to replace in the country. What a bunch of bullshit that is. Why is he so hard to replace? They don't have a running back, a wide receiver, and a defensive back? Come on. That's just stupid. Prime was 13-12 in 2 years, so why is he a great coach? 40-18 in 5 years, and that includes Jacksonville State, Division II. They scored 32 a game, gave up 23. I doubt they'll score 32 with Keldon Salter, senior. They open at Georgia Tech. Good luck there. Georgia Tech's a 3-point road favorite. I love Georgia Tech. At Houston, Wyoming, BYU, at TCU, Iowa State, Utah, Arizona State, and at Kansas State. Colorado had that miracle win against Baylor, and then they got rolling a little, beating a good Texas Tech team, scoring 49 on Utah, and then there you go. They got up for the Utah game. Here comes Kansas in with Devin Neal, their running back, who's fantastic, who lit them up. They won 37-21. They couldn't stop the guy. So they had 3 losses. They lost to Nebraska and they lost to Kansas State. So they're going to have trouble winning 5 games this year because Prime is not a good coach. UCF. Oh, Scott Frost. What a joke. Terrible coach. Not much to say. Tavarian Jackson. Where's he from? Transfers to Tavarian Jackson, Indiana. Cam Fancher, Florida Atlantic. You get Frost solid options. Cam Fancher stinks. Tavarius Jackson, he didn't play at Indiana. They had the other guy, Scott Rourke. So I don't know who the hell Tavarian Jackson. I don't think he's any good. Probably a bit of a running quarterback, I guess. They scored 30. You can't even do anything here because we got a new coach. They open at Jacksonville State, North Carolina A&T. What kind of schedule is this? North Carolina, then they get to meet Kansas State, Kansas, 2 losses, at Baylor, Houston, Texas Tech, and at BYU. So they're going to be in trouble. They lost a lot of games last year, obviously getting a new coach. Tavarian Jackson, after starting 5 games as a redshirt freshman at Indiana 2023, Jackson made only 1 start last year when he led the Hoosiers to a key win over Washington when Curtis Rourke was injured. He spent his true freshman year at Tennessee where he obviously sucked there. All right, West Virginia, Rich Rod is back. The quarterback, Nico Makiko, is a junior. So he'll be the offensive coordinator, bringing in a new staff, offensive line, receivers. He's got some transfers from Jacksonville State, where he coached last year. Quarterback, that's still to be determined. Competitors are Nico Miracle, undefeated in 3 starts in 2 years. Oh, yeah, he's a superstar. And Texas A&M transfer, Jaden Henderson. So basically, he's got no quarterback. He doesn't need one. He just is going to have a running offense, a good running back, I guess. He's fast, 844 yards. So they'll try to work him over. So we'll see. West Virginia, we know their defense sucks. 29 a game last year, and they gave up 32. They got killed by Penn State in the early game. Lost to Pitt, Kansas. They actually beat Kansas. Not Iowa State, not K-State. They beat a weak Arizona, a weak Cincinnati team. Got killed by Baylor, and Texas Tech beat them 52-15. So they open with Robert Morris. That'll be an impressive win. Then they go at Ohio and then Pittsburgh. Notice there's no Penn State on the schedule this year. And then they're Kansas, Utah, BYU, UCF, TCU, Houston, Arizona State, and Texas Tech. Very tough. They won't win 6 games. Very tough schedule. Arizona, Brennan, 4-8 in 1 year. He had a good team. He took over. The coach went to Washington when the Washington coach went to Alabama. So Arizona's got a new coach, and he's 4-8 with. You got Noah Fahita, and you're 4-8, and a first-round draft wide receiver. Pretty bad. Noah Fahita, 5'10", 186. He's just a junior. Excellent quarterback. At least he was 2 years ago. We'll see what he is. Seth Doge, very good quarterback. So he should be a good offensive coordinator. So we will see. They scored 22 a game last year, 31. So they'll have a bad defense. Should have a better offense. Good quarterback, good offensive coordinator. So they'll probably be closer to 30-30. So they'll be an over team. I would assume they open up against Hawaii. This should be a very explosive game. Weber State. What is with these teams? Kansas State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Houston, Kansas, Baylor, Arizona State. So they're in big trouble. Our lock last year was Arizona State laying like 10 points, and they won 49-7. I love games like that. It was such a perfect game. Arizona State needed it. You got Scatterboo. Boom. 49-7. The game was over in the second quarter. I love those games. I think we weren't laying too many, 2 or 3 or 4 points. Oklahoma State. Now, they've got them as the worst team in the conference. Let's see. Mike Gundy. We love Mike Gundy. 169 and 88 in 21 years. He knows what he's doing. Zane Flores. Who the hell is this guy? Redshirt sophomore Zane Flores and TCU transfer Hose Henji will be vying for the starting quarterback. Neither has much history to lean on. Flores has yet to play in a game. Oh, now we see why Oak State's very weak quarterback. They scored 27 a game and gave up 35. Well, guess what? They're not going to get near 27 a game. Mike Gundy's a great coach, but you can't do it with a freshman quarterback. So this is going to be trouble. We'll see if the other transfer is any good. They open with UT Martin, Tennessee Martin. It's like a high school team. And then they go to at Oregon. They're going to lose that game by 60. Tulsa, Baylor, at Arizona, maybe. Houston, no chance. Cincinnati, Texas Tech's a kill. Kansas is a kill. And Iowa State, they're going to get killed. So they're pretty weak. Their big game will be they don't play Oklahoma. Interesting. The biggest rivalry, and there's no Oklahoma on their schedule. They chose Oregon instead, a much easier team. They scored 27 a game, gave up 35. So as I said, they'll be lucky to get 20 and give up 35. But this is the problem with the freshman quarterback. He could be Joe Montana, but even Joe Montana struggled at Notre Dame. He was the eighth string quarterback. Finally, all the injuries came up and he finally got out there. And then they said, "Hey, coach, why didn't you use Montana like before?" The guy's a superstar, but he couldn't even get on the field till you had 7 guys injured. So if they had a normal quarterback didn't get injured, we would never have heard of Joe Montana. You've got the best quarterback, the star of star, but look at Tom Brady. He never got to the field at Michigan. He was obviously much better than whatchamacallit. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Damn, he played for the Yankees. Anyway, he was a much better quarterback than the other guy, but he doesn't get on the field. Montana didn't get on the field. Took him a while. So you just wonder what's wrong with these coaches. Are they a bunch of freaking idiots? You got Joe Montana and Tom Brady, and you don't start them. I mean, what is that? That's why we got to question the quarterback. Scott Frost got Joe Burrow. Yeah, I'm going to make you a safety. Oh, my God. You can't spot that talent. I mean, the first game at LSU, Chase and Jefferson, right? They're scoring 50 points a game. You couldn't cover any of them, and he'd throw the ball in there perfectly. So what are you doing, coach? And Scott Frost, how is he even coaching? You can't get over being this stupid and not recognizing talent, which he obviously didn't. Joe Burrow laughed, said, I'm a quarterback. Yeah, I'm a pretty good one. I'm tied with Mahomes as the best quarterback in the league. But, yeah, you wanted me at safety. That was really, really smart of you, coach. All right, so the problem with the freshman quarterbacks, we don't know. Could be Joe Montana, could be Bill Montana. We don't know. We think he's Bill Montana. I think like the Michigan quarterback, if he is the quarterback or Mikey Keene starts, we don't know. But we've kind of heard of the Michigan freshman. He was good in high school, which doesn't do much for us. So we've got to kind of look at that and really get a feel for it. So this is our Big 12. Now, after going through it, questions or comments on the way I go through it, please let me know. So I can see why Oklahoma State, with the freshman quarterback who's never played before, is the last team because they have a great coach. BYU lost their quarterback. Utah doesn't have a quarterback. I don't like Cincinnati's quarterback. Colorado doesn't have one. UCF doesn't have one. So it all becomes you got a quarterback. Arizona State does. Texas Tech does. Iowa State does. Baylor does. TCU does. Kansas kind of. It's all the quarterback, especially in college. Now, you want good throwers. You got a guy who runs. Just look at Lamar. He played at Cincinnati or Louisville. And one game he beat Florida State like 38-0. And then he got to Clemson with a good defense, and they lost 38-0. And all he did was run the ball. And he was a fast quarterback. Never should have been drafted in the NFL as a quarterback. Should have went in as a slot receiver. He's a very good slot receiver, unless he can't catch. He's not a quarterback, and that's the problem you get with these guys who are fast, like a Pat White when he was at West Virginia. Good running back, but not a good quarterback. And he'd have his moments, but you can see he never did anything in the pros. You've got Jerry Rice, and you've got these stud wide receivers. You need a quarterback to get the ball to them, right? So there's no point in getting this athlete who's got physicality, whatever the fuck that means, as your quarterback. You need a guy who can throw the ball. I would much rather have Joe Montana than Steve McNair or Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham could throw okay, but he couldn't really read the problem is these running quarterbacks can't really read a defense. They need to know where to go and fake them out and, play action here and then throw the other way and stuff like that. I was watching the Lions Green Bay game from last year when the coach lost his mind. It's tied at 31. There's 40 seconds left in the game. It's 4th and 1 or 2 at the Green Bay 25, and the coach goes for the 4th down. I've never seen a dumber coach in my life. So you would rather go for it on 4th down, and if you don't make it, you give Green Bay the ball with about 40 seconds left and 2 passes. Your defense sucks, and they'll kick a field goal and win. And he goes for it, and he gets lucky and makes it. Worst coaching I've ever seen. I get he was scared that his defense sucked so bad that if he, but if you kick the field goal and you go up 31-28, I think it was tied at 28 or 31. I think it was 31. So it goes up 34-31. They got to, okay, if they kick a field goal to tie you, fine, but they don't have a lot of time. But the odds on you getting the 4th down is slim and none. I mean, you got it, but it was the stupidest play I've ever seen. God knows Herb Kirkstreet's the worst analyst. Everybody, oh, what a great play, what a great this, what a great that. Oh, look how the guy blocked. Look how the wide receivers block. Why do they give a fuck about? I want a wide receiver, who can catch. I don't want one that can block. It's just stupid. But anyway, it was a good game. Goff threw 3 interceptions, so he was par for the course. Then they got killed by Buffalo the next week. But the management by the coach, he's the dumbest coach I've ever seen. That you've got to kick the field goal 100 times out of 100 on 4th and 2 with 40 seconds left in a tie game. Cost them in the championship game with the Niners. You didn't go for it. Lost by 3. Cost them there. These are not gimmies. He also went for it at his own 30 on 4th and 2. He did a running play that everybody knew what he was doing, and basically the guy lost 2 yards, and then Green Bay scores a touchdown too. So the guy doesn't know how to punt. He doesn't understand 4th down. He just thinks it's an automatic, we'll get it. I've never seen a dumber coach in my life. He's a good motivator. I will give him that. I don't argue that. He's just a terrible coach. He's a terrible decision maker on the field coach. He just doesn't get it. What are you going to do with the guy? All right, so the Big 12, the big loss is Scatterboo. The best running back, and that's going to be key, is Baylor, Brian Washington, and Dylan Edwards from Kansas State. But Kansas State doesn't really have the quarterback. Baylor does. Baylor's balanced. Look for them to be right up there with Arizona State. Iowa State has Rocco Beck, and they're leading. Carson Hansen ran for 752. They should be pretty balanced with a wicked defense. So look for the best defense. That would be Colorado State. We go to Conference USA, which we're going to do maybe tomorrow. So Friday, I'm probably going to go up north. Not up north, but just go to it's an hour drive to the outlet mall. They got a polo and a Brooks Brothers and stuff. And I just want to replenish some T-shirts, some socks, and maybe some pants. We'll see. I'll just see what's out there. That's about it. Daria's daughter should be out of the hospital on Monday, hopefully. Really sad, but she is okay. I was very worried about her, and so is Daria. So she should be home. It was her birthday on the 24th, so she took her flowers. But did we celebrate her birthday on the 24th? I think when she gets home we'll celebrate. I'm not sure. It's so hard being here and she's there. Otherwise, so July 4th here, Basel 3. I read you the description of Basel 3. I'll reread it just because it's a very important thing, but it is in my Basel 3. Let's see. Did Miami win? Toronto 11-9 over the Yankees. That's in the 8th inning. The Cubs 5-3 against Cleveland. Texas 6-0 over Baltimore. Houston, Colorado's tied at 2. The 49ers over Arizona 2-0. Kansas City over Seattle. Who was my pick? Houston. Houston's 2-2 in the bottom of the 5th. Milwaukee in game 2. Let's see how I did there. San Diego beats Philly in game 1, 6-4. Detroit 11-2. Milwaukee 7-2. All right. So Milwaukee came back to beat the Mets. That's a W. I didn't think I would get there. I was losing. Houston's tied. Washington over 8. Philly wins game 2, 5-1. That's what I thought. Sanchez against Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease held them pretty good. 5-1 game. It's hard with Philly because they can score. Minnesota beats Miami 2-1. So Miami loses. Their 8-game win streak comes to an end. So you only lose once with them, but that's what you're trying to do is find the streak. Washington over 8. Washington wins 9-4. Love it. All right, Washington. I hit both games over. So I had Washington over 9 in game 1, Washington over 8 in game 2. So I hit both Washingtons. I lose Milwaukee, lose Miami, and Miami is not a team I normally would play. Again, that's what happens with the streak, but it ended, so we don't play Miami. We hit Milwaukee, so we're 3-2 now. All 2-unit games, nothing. The Houston game is a 3-unit game. And Atlanta beat the California 8-3. So, let's see. So we're 3-2. The Yankees over 9. I think that's over. See, now they're starting. Yeah, it's 11-9. So the over 9 wins with the Yankees, and so it's Houston 2-2 in the end of 5. So let's get Altuve to hit a home run, and we can have a 1, 2, 3. Have a 4-2 day. That'll be nice. That's baseball. Let's check gold. Oh, and I want to show you the Basel 3. It's important that you understand it. Gold 33.46. So it went down, and now it's coming back up at 10 o'clock. In China's at the plate now. 36.40 for silver. So that's good. The longer this stays up there, there's a lot of, if it gets over 38, it's gone. And it's hard to get there. And then gold at 33.46. So we will see. Now, what is Basel 3? I know it's confusing. It's confusing to me because I'm not a bank person. I'm an economist. Basel III regulations, which aims to strengthen the global banking system, have significant implications for how banks handle precious metals like silver on the COMEX. The key change is the banks must hold more capital against their holdings of unallocated silver, which is silver that's in a pool, not allocated to China or Japan or France. It's not allocated to anybody. We got the gold in a vault, and nobody has ownership of it. That's what unallocated means. Ownership is not tied to specific physical bars. This impacts banks' ability to maintain fractional reserve banking practices for silver, potentially increasing demand for physical silver and impacting prices. Prices will go up as demand goes up, as we know. It's all about demand. Basel III precious metals. Basel III's goal developed in response to the 2008 financial crisis. Basel III aims to improve bank capital requirements, liquidity, and risk management, meaning you got to carry more gold if you're doing it. You can't use this 4% gold and 96% paper. So the goal is to have more physical, and when the buyer says, I want to take delivery, you deliver it to them. That's what the goal is. Impact on silver, a major aspect of Basel III, is how it affects banks' holdings of precious metals, particularly unallocated silver. So you've got to carry more. Unallocated versus allocated. Unallocated silver represents a claim on silver held by a bank, but not specific bars. Allocated silver is where ownership of the bars is recorded. China bought, you got these 10 bars, China. Capital requirements. Basel III requires banks to hold more capital against their assets, which means more physical, which means they got to go buy it because they don't have it, including precious metals. For unallocated silver, banks must now hold capital against a percentage of its value on the books. Again, they have to get more physical gold and silver in. Either way, they got to cover that, and then they got to buy more. There's nothing to buy, so the price should go up. Impact on fractional reserve banking. By increasing capital requirements for unallocated silver, Basel III makes it less profitable for banks to maintain the fractional reserve system they previously used, where they could sell multiple claims on the same physical silver, the price fixing. So it makes it's less profitable for banks to do that. Shift to physical silver, what we all want. This changes incentives banks to hold more physical allocated silver or potential reduce their involvement in the silver market altogether, which could lead to increased demand for physical silver and potentially higher prices. So banks to hold more physical and not use the paper game. Now, as I showed you yesterday with Mark McGuire, his point was even if the U.S. just ignores this, they're fucked because it will increase the physical demand for silver, and no, there won't be any players in the unallocated market. So when you're doing your derivatives and the you do your Eddie Murphy and then you short it, there's not going to be any buyers, or there'll be buyers and no shorters, I think is what it is. So nobody will be shorting silver because now you have to have more and the price will go up. So why would you short it? The COMEX is a major exchange for trading silver future contracts, often involving so COMEX as a paper market, as we know, it's all bullshit. The impact on COMEX, Basel III's impact on unallocated silver may reduce the liquidity and leverage available at the COMEX market for silver, potentially impacting price discovery and trading activity. So in other words, we're getting rid of the shorts. We're getting rid of the bullshit. You want to trade, you're trading in physical. China's already doing it in Shanghai. They put vaults in Hong Kong and Singapore, and there's one in Dubai and in Russia. In simple terms, Basel III is forcing banks to hold more of their own money against the silver holdings, especially the unallocated kind. This means they can't create as much paper silver as they used to, which means that's the paper, which could make physical silver more valuable and potentially drive. So that's why we're all excited. Gold and silver now, they have to carry more, which is going to cost them because they don't have it. And that should increase the price of gold and silver. And that's really what makes time travel possible, of course. So we'll see. It's supposed to have gone into effect yesterday. Happy days. So we will see. But that's the idea of it. So there was I'll show you Mark McGuire one more time because he's Mark McGuire.
Net of the tiny and the current open interest that remains. So the potential delivery exposure right now is a very large 6,000 tons. And while a lot of these positions will, of course, they'll be rolled into the upcoming September contract, there are only 2 sessions left to actually deliver the last 1.4 tons of June deliveries. Why the heck anyone would hang on to the last day to deliver a June delivery that should have actually been delivered at the end of May? So to sum up, basically, both of these bid pooled efforts in gold and silver are options, OCC related, ahead of options expiry today, and OCC related capping. And it's being led by Citi, stick handling, official OCC bets. And while we expected a last kick at the can ahead of US Basel III compliance, all it has achieved is to secure the next higher, globally determined, higher price stair step with almost no paper speculators on board to rinse. Just to finish up, though, we have contacts on the ground and we'll be closely monitoring the upcoming 17th BRIC Summit in Rio on the 6th and the 7th of July. And we're going to provide a full update in our last episode that will be recorded on the 9th of July. So BRICS, remember, is a platform for accelerating financial multipolarity with a view to expanding the new development bank so as to bolster national currencies in intra-BRICS trade benchmarked to gold. That's the key thing. And with gold markets now being discovered in Ava, prices now being discovered in Asia, as Bloomberg draws attention to, it provides the BRICS autonomy. Gold is already being price discovered in the Eastern physically backed markets. The formalizing of the financial infrastructure to support liquid global settlement is the final piece of the puzzle, and it will be the death knell of the COMEX if it does not become Basel III compliant. We talked about it before. Yeah, you can avoid being Basel III compliant. You can keep playing your paper game, but you've got less and less people to actually cover your exposure into. So you're in trouble. And simply what?
That's the key point. Even if COMEX, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs ignores Basel III, says, oh, we're not going to keep more on hand and da-da-da-da-da, they're fucked anyway. So that's the point I wanted you to get out of that was if they decide not to do it, they're fucked. They have to do it because there's no, right now people are shorting it. That's how the price goes down. It's not because anybody's selling an ounce of gold. But if you keep doing that, if you ignore it, then there's no short sellers to sell for you. So how are you going to get the price down? The game is I'll short it and then you buy it. And that's the game, and nobody takes delivery. Now they said, no, you're going to take delivery now. So now nobody's stupid enough to short it, so they can't buy it. And if they do, then they ask for delivery, and then they got to deliver. And that's what Basel III is saying. You've got to deliver. They don't have gold and silver to deliver. And that's it. There was one other thing. I'm a little bit surprised by Egon on this one.
Many investors are asking why gold isn't going up more than it is. We have wars in Iran and Middle East, we have war in Ukraine, and we have massive deficits and debts, and the geopolitical situation combined with the political is worse than it's been for many decades and maybe even centuries. The debt is of a proportion that worldwide that has never occurred before in history. So especially with these wars, investors are asking, why isn't gold going up? But what you have to understand is that gold is not going up because of temporary happenings in the world. That's a war, or whether it's a political problem in the US or in Europe. Gold goes up because paper money is being destroyed continuously by central banks and by banks also by issuing and leveraging more and more debt and credit to the consumer and to companies. So gold is not reflecting short-term situations in the market, such as an attack on Iran or a war in Ukraine. No.
Okay, so what Egon gets right is, but he doesn't call it, is inflation. Gold's going up because the dollar's going out. The ship's sinking. I got to get off the ship. I buy gold. That's why it's going up, but he doesn't quite get the answer to the question. Why isn't it going up now is because of COMEX and the derivative price fixing that's keeping the price of gold down. The demand is there because of inflation, but the price is set by COMEX. That's what Basel III should take care of. It should go to a physical market. But even there, he gets the part of the inflation, but he calls it money printing. But he doesn't get the price fixing, keeping the price down. That's why the price is down. It's price fixed. It's COMEX. It's the options. It's Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. That's why gold isn't going up, even though the demand's there. It's got nothing to do with the demand because nobody's selling gold. Everybody's buying it. So why wouldn't it keep going up? Because it's not physical. In a physical world, if everybody wants my Canadian Club 12 years, I can sell it for $1,000 a bottle. I'll have buyers. That's how gold should be, but it isn't because it's done by options. It's priced by COMEX. Why in the world is it priced by COMEX? I have no idea. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. So it needs to be just like whiskey, just like tuna fish, like anything else. This is the price, and then people bid it up. And then if there's demand, as much as we have, that's the new price, and the price keeps going up. And that's what we're hoping for with Basel III. So I was shocked. He did know the answer of the inflation, although he didn't call it inflation. He didn't get the COMEX price fixing it. And I will certainly tell him right now. And I will, of course, share it with you. Okay, this is what I'm going to send to Egon. COMEX price fixing is the answer why gold and silver aren't going up. Yes, inflation, the money printing creates the demand, but the price is set by JP Morgan. So JP Morgan does the price. That's why the price isn't going up. It's amazing how few people, well then, if gold should go up when economies are more debt, why isn't gold going up with this recessive massive increase? It's really not doing what you said it should do. Yeah, it's went up, but not anywhere close to increase. Have you ever looked at the gold debt ratio chart? Who gives a shit? It's $3,300 an ounce. Was 17 not too long ago. You want jackpot? Go to the casino. In reality, it should be it should be 25,000. So this guy thinks it should be 24 to 2,800. Where does he get that from? But the boys have been raking it in, and nobody knows the answer except for us. It was 1,700. Now it's 20. Oh, you want jackpot? And then here's my answer. In reality, it should be about 25,000 USD. So I'm telling him he's fucked. I talked to my friend in Florida today, telling him Basel III, which went over his head. He's a CPA and he's so stupid. It's just amazing. And he says, well, inflation's gone up under Biden. He likes Trump, doesn't like Biden. And he said, well, inflation's gone up. And I said, no, it hasn't. Inflation has never gone down since 1971. Once you print the money did not get stronger in value. They just print more of it. And then once you got rid of the petrodollar and the FS exchange rate, then all this dollar's coming back. China's sending money back. Japan is sending the T back. China is too. You've got a ton of dollars here, and we're done. We are inflated thousands of percentage, not this 2%. Well, if the government says it's 2%, they must be right. They wouldn't lie to us. Oh yeah, 9/11 was a gold robbery by Israel. Oh yeah, yeah, they didn't tell us that. Oh yeah, and there was no F-18s in the air when the first plane hit. Or you think maybe when the first plane hit there would be, so the second plane couldn't hit. But no, we let the second plane hit it too, and then we detonated the whole thing and we raised it like in Ocean's 11, and we raised both buildings. They did not fall from the airplane, but the government wouldn't lie to us. They're always so honest. And so that's what you have. And again, you're protecting yourself from this, but the price of gold and silver is at least 10 times more than it is right now. Easy. And it's fixed. They do these stupid deliveries. So that's why Basel III should really help us a lot. And we can get to a real price. But nobody's selling gold. You know, if we look at gold again, if we look at the chart, $33.47. Did anybody sell gold at 6 o'clock from 33.65 to 8:30, 9 o'clock down to 30? So that it went down $20. Was there selling going on? Not a chance. It's the options that China's doing that's knocking the price down. It's not real. It is not supply and demand, free market, Adam Smith. That's not what's causing this price to drop. Nobody is selling a ton of gold. That's the price fixing. That's why the price isn't up, because they're not letting it go. But then there's going to be less people shorting it because of Basel III. You have to cover it, and nobody can. So you've got Citi, who's sweating bullets, needing gold to go to 2,500, and it'll never get there. It's too much demand for it. And if it goes down a little, there's a lot of buying. And if you had 1,000 ounces of gold, don't you want gold to go to 10,000 versus 2,500? You don't care about Citibank. So that's the real key, is the people with gold, China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, BRICS, want the price to go up. So they are buying the shit out of it. And that's the real reason that you'll never get it to 2,500. We should get 4,500 soon. This little game they're playing as the U.S. dollar goes out, all I can think of is the U.S. is trying to buy gold, but they're failing miserably. These tariffs are ridiculously stupid. Trump seems lost. The Scott Simpson guy or Bart Simpson is just terrible. The Treasury Secretary is clueless. He's not even a fucking economist. He likes the economic history. Oh God. Yeah, I'm not a real football coach, but I did watch Vince Lombardi, so I know what I'm doing. Oh my God. Anyway, that's your Big 12. Baseball, we are at 2, and we're at 1, 2. We're 3-2 going, and we just need Houston to win to go to 4-2 and have another good day. We're 4-2 yesterday. We were 2-2 on the 30th, and we were 4-2. We're getting a little bit too much into these games that we shouldn't be. We need to just pick more solidly. Although we lost with Max Fried yesterday and we won with Paul Skeens. Felix Skeens was a 5-unit play yesterday. And today we had the 3-unit plays Houston, which is going on now. All right. Anyway, www.teaserking.com. Go. You can email me and whatever. Hope you have a nice July 4th. I will be on tomorrow. I should be on tomorrow. 4th, I don't know. Maybe at night. Nobody has fireworks Friday on the 4th of July anymore. All the lakes do it on like June 22nd. Like, the fuck is that? So we will see. I always like, it's patriotic. You want to see fireworks July 4th, but we'll see. Maybe I'll light a lighter or something. But I should be going up north. It's an hour drive. Spend a few hours up there, have a nice lunch, and then come home. So I shouldn't be gone too much. The pool is open until 1:30, so I might go at 8:30, and then drive up there. I'll see how, because I don't really like to miss the swim, and they do close at 1:30, and I'm not the mall's open, I think 10 to 4 or 10 to 5 on the holiday, which is surprising, but it is the holiday. So we will see. But that's the goal, is to drive up there on Friday. The reason is you got a lot of sales going on, and it's an outlet mall, so things should be cheaper anyway. And then they put them on sale because it's July 4th, except for Polo. They haven't figured out it's an outlet mall yet, and they want their shirts at $100. And I just like, are you on drugs? Who's going to buy your shirts in an outlet mall that's supposed to be on sale on the holiday for $100? Oh, well, if you give us your text email address or your text number, we'll give you 30% off. And I'm like, fine, I don't care. Anyway, so have a good 4th. Go have some fireworks, go to the lake, relax, golf, whatever you enjoy doing, go get out and do it. And that's about it. So I got my chicken cooked. I did my Big 12 as I promised. We looked a little more at Basel 3, Mark McGuire, Egon, and now I'm going to put on a movie and relax. So I love on the 1st of the month, you get all the new movies on Netflix and on Pluto and Tubi. I kept Trading Places is still on, although I lost what's the two Steven Seagal movies. Jesus, my mind's losing. He's on the boat and then he saves the boat. Jesus, Joe Burrow. Yeah. Anyway, I lost those two movies. Disappointed. And when it comes to the end of the month, I'm running around trying to watch the movies that expire in 2 days, and you're like, why are they expiring? Under Siege, that's what it is. See how it works? When I try to think of it, I don't. When I don't try to think of it, I think of it. So Under Siege 1 and Under Siege 2, I like those. They're not on a lot. And I picked up Who's Here? He's Crumb, who I like. He's adorable in that movie. And that's about it. So anyway, have a great 4th. I will be on tomorrow. And then we will go for sure on the weekend. It's just I might go to the pool first and then go to the mall, to the outlet mall, and then have a nice little dinner up there and then relax. All right. Well, have a good night, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Enjoy your holiday, please. And I will talk to you soon. All right. Take care, Bobby Bo, wherever the hell you are. Happy Bobby Bo Day. You got about maybe $30,000 of your million too. Buy gold with it, Bobby Bo. All right. Take care, everybody.